Preparations are in full swing for an ambitious high Arctic expedition this March. The new land expedition will travel the entire length of Vals Maryland. This retraces the steps of famous Norwegian explorer Otto Sverdrup 110 years ago. The Canadian member of the expedition is Hugh Harris. He joins me from our studios in Ottawa. And Hugh, first of all, just tell us what the purpose of this expedition is.
Sure, Randy. The purpose of the expedition is to travel along Ellesmere, the western side of it. It's along some of Sverdrup's route. It's an incredible place. A lot of people refer to it as the Arctic Eden. The other purpose of the trip is to celebrate Sverdrup's expedition, the second Fram expedition. Not many people know about it, and it's really an important chapter in the Canadian polar history.
Tell us more about Otto Sverdrup.
Sure. He's a fairly reserved man. Not many people, like I said, know about him. Maybe that's part of the reason why. Lots of people in Arctic history have worked with him. Nansen hired him as a captain, helped him build the Fram, which was a well-known ship for withstanding the Arctic ice, and lots of other big explorations. So he's quite well known for the older expedition leaders, but not so much for the newer generation.
I understand it was his mapping, really, of Vals Maryland that was in full use right up to the late 1950s. Yeah,
that's right. Before there was aerial photography, a lot of his sketches that actually are here in Ottawa in the archives were the ones the maps were based on. So yeah, I mean, they spent 4 years mapping, 150,000 square kilometers of land. So an incredible feat. I mean, really surpassed by not many other expeditions, and they did an amazing job of mapping up there.
Hugh, you're no stranger to Arctic expeditions. You've been to the North Pole by ski and dog sled. How challenging is this expedition by comparison?
It's going to be challenging for sure. I mean, it's an ambitious route, 70 days and traveling all the way up Ellesmere and back down again. I think our biggest challenge will be balancing making time on the expedition as well as making the documentary we're doing. But really, it's compared to the other ones, we won't have that. We had a time thing going on with the Perry expedition, trying to get there at the same time as him. With Arctic Transect, we were going across, talking to elders about climate change, so we had a huge distance to cover. So maybe not the same pressures as that, but similar cold weather, of course, and trying to make the distances while shooting a documentary. Those will be our biggest challenges.
I understand you'll be in contact with students along the way.
Oh yes, absolutely. For all of us involved with the expedition, the educational part of things is absolutely key. The story of Sverdrup, this chapter in Canadian polar history, is extremely exciting, and bringing that to life is something we'd love to share with, of course, students and the general public. So we're developing some partnerships here in Canada to try and get in touch with Canadian students, and absolutely they can follow along and see what happens out there.
How are you training for this?
Well, it's interesting. The other two expeditions were dog sledding expeditions, and I had my own team, so just by training them, I was training myself for those other two expeditions. But for this one, we're only bringing Skudger dogs, so I'm going to have to do a lot more training. We have a pretty rigorous training program online. I have 3 kids as well, and so I'm quite busy with them. And I like to have them involved as much as possible. I have a couple of videos up online, Facebook and YouTube, of them helping me out. So I try and make it fun. We pull tires. We do exercises together, inside and out. I bike as much as possible. I bike to this interview, and that helps me get in shape.
All right. We'll be following the progress of your journey when it comes in March, Hugh, and thanks for talking with us today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.